Welcome to today's episode featuring the extraordinary Aisha, a world-traveling artist, author, and entrepreneur born in Mongolia and orphaned at 2. With over 60 countries explored, her unique artwork has even traveled to outer space aboard a SpaceX mission. Aisha holds a civil engineering degree from UIT, the Arctic University in Norway, and has successfully founded a boutique hotel company in Lisbon, Portugal. She's also a passionate member of the Burning Man community and author of the inspiring Joyful Living Guidebook. Aisha's mission is to empower others to embrace creativity, bravery, and authenticity in building a vibrant, joyful life. Please welcome the inspiring, adventurous Aisha. I pray I got your name correct.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
That's
Well, I'm glad you're on. I've been looking forward to this. Life's challenged us and we've had a couple reschedules, but we're here now. So
Made it. We're winners.
we why don't we start by you just kind of giving everybody a little bit of backstory? What brought you to being on podcasts and telling your story?
Well, I feel like each podcast is different, and my mission is inspire people and motivate people to live their dream life, joyful life. And for me, I kind of like this living example of living my dreams. And when I send my art to the space, and I was like, wow, I really do live my dreams, and I'm not connected to this idea of the money, this idea of the comfort, this idea of the different programs that people have. I'm just go explore and do, and I'm always like expressing my truth, who I am, and the way I am, what I'm about to create, and I'm just doing it. I'm walking the walk. And every time in my life, when I'm creating my dreams, I decided that it's easy for me, and I just decided it. I make a decision so easy. I don't know how, I don't know when, I just know I am living them now, and that's it. And when I understood it finally, I wrote my book that called Joyful Living Guidebook. I'm about to publish my second book that called The Dream Life in the Flow. So from my own experience, when you're making decisions to live your dream life, you get to go and do it. Nothing get to stop you. And what I used to say to the people, nothing is stopping you except you.
That is true.
Nothing else can live your dream. Nobody else will live your dreams except you. You get to do it. You get to create it. In this case, when I'm doing my dreams, I'm saying to myself, I get to go and live them. I get to do it first for myself, to see it by myself with my own eyes that I'm doing it. I'm creating it, and I'm living it day by day. And that's it. People don't see what I see.
But that's a choice too. You can look at things from a negative aspect, or you can find the positive. And I used to be on the other side of that. When I retired out of the military, I was not a very positive guy. And I learned through years and gained some wisdom and realized you can dread on the negative, or you can look for the positive. You're going to accomplish a lot more dreams by being positive than you are just dreading the negative. I went through your bio, but things haven't always been easy for you. You're so energetic and so positive, but I don't want people to think that there's no trials. You've had a hard life. You were orphaned at age 2 in Mongolia, right?
In Russia.
In Russia. Okay.
More tougher, I believe.
What do you remember your early years? How did that impact you getting to where you are today?
Well, at the beginning, I of course, I was also want to have parents and like all that stuff.
Yeah.
And one day, I just realized that what, my life, was very grateful that I don't have what other people have, and I was like went and being free. I don't know how to explain it. I was just being so free, and I just understood that the freedom actually it's so important, and I could do whatever I want because nobody cares. In the same time, many times when I was doing dangerous things as a little kid, because you don't understand that it's dangerous, you don't have that awareness. This is what parents created in your head that it can be dangerous. And when the parents doesn't explain you that it can be dangerous. So I believe, like, I don't know, but in my life, I believe I've been in many dangerous situations when I was a little kid that I don't know. And I know that I have done many things that may be dangerous. And when I been caught on something, and the people who was around me, the adults was around me, they never had a conversation with me. They never explained me what is dangerous, what is not dangerous, what is good, what is not good. It was always like this beating up, punishment, screaming, yelling, putting you on the corner, saying nasty words, just like, like so much negativity, so much like this brutality that I just said to myself, it doesn't matter. If I do it, I will punish. If I don't do that, I'm going to be punished anyway. In like nobody talking to me, nobody like cares about me. So what to worry, If I'm going to die today, at least I'm going to die like exploring something, like
Yeah.
happy. So I think I had this like idea of being happy, free, exploring every time outdoors and outside, running away every time from the house where I was living, because kids is always was brutal and we always fight. It was always like screaming and yelling. It was never like kind of like this. And I never had my room or my clothes or my toys. I always share it. And everything was in a sharing space. And so I learned later in my life that I've been introverted. If I would have normal environment, I've been more introverted. And of course, I had more time to experiment with other things, with other tools. If I had the adult who cares about my development. And in my life, I didn't have that. So I got to go and explore in my own to discover, and kind of like didn't have that discipline, because school kind of was a discipline, and many other things was not, so I was playing a lot. I was always kind of like this wild child every time, like running around. And after, when I become like going to the school, I started to kind of understand deeper things, like, oh, if I started to read, it's good for me. So I learned how to read better than others kids. And I
Yes.
spent a lot of hours in the library because I didn't feel safe anyway where I was living. So I started to spend a lot of time after the school in the library reading a lot of books. So it was my escape place. And at the same time, I was started to dream. What if I
Yeah.
would be princess? What if I would be Aladdin? What if I would be Jasmine? Or what if I would be this? So I started to kind of like create that world, not just creating, but also playing with other kids every time and telling like, you're going to be this, you're going to be different characters. And so we play. And I remember that many times as well, I took the kids exploring these things, and kids didn't like to be punished. And
Yeah.
they were like, few times maybe they go to explore with me. And after they get punished, they're like being yelled and they didn't like it. And they were like, they got scary to go. And I'm like, okay, don't want to go. It's fine. I'm going anyway. They admire me in some ways and they didn't like it. They were jealous and envy in other ways that I have that bravery to go and and always come back. And sometimes I come in with treasures. I remember I was abroad like one time, like a big frog. Everyone got so scared and going crazy. And I said, like, what's going on? What's happening? It's just kind of like, I didn't know. It was maybe like 4 years or 5 years. I didn't remember. But I was like, I didn't know what it is. And I want to know because nobody explained you, when you're like a little child. And I remember when I found it, I want to show it and ask, what is this? I was very curious kid. And they punished me. They beat me up for no reason. I was so like surprised. Why? I just want to know.
Yeah.
It was so funny. That's what I understood. My life is like this fairy tale adventure comedy. There is a situation when I'm curious, I'm like, why this question is so scary? Why these things is why? It's like it's just like a frog or it's just a snake. I found this like a black snakes. They were not like poison, anything like that, but like I'm just was curious as a kid. And I found something and I wanna show it. I wanna like ask questions. I wanna cut it sometimes, like figuring out what it is, why. I've been very like curious in many levels. And I think the curiosity actually lead me where I am today because I'm always questioning things and I'm always kind of curious. What if I would do like this? What's going to happen? When I was very young, I was always pushing the boundaries, my
Mhm.
own and probably many other people's. And I didn't understand that because I just love to go in these like moments of my life when I'm going towards the edges,
Yeah.
And I understand I'm adrenaline junkies, because when I was 15, 14, 15, I started to ride motorbikes. This like in Russia, they have like this Yava, like the small ones. And we were stealing the motorbikes because we don't understand. As a kids, you don't understand. I've been in a bad company and we love it. And we're like, we don't have our own, but we go and find
Yeah.
something that we can we can take. And after that, we get to run away from the police. And some of my friends died on accident like this. So
Yeah.
I get to face death, and I get to, oh my gosh, it's actually dangerous. I can die. So I learned that I get to I get to survive. So I got scared and I said, what I'm going to do? I want to travel. I want to live my life. I want to do this. I want to do that. So I got to get out. That company is not good for me,
Yeah.
and that what we do is actually not good. And like teachers tell me that it's not good. Adults say to me, it's you become so like rebellious and not nice. And so like I was very angry, aggressive, like become very, very like different. But because I want to belong as a teenager, I started to feel this like very strong feeling of belonging. And somehow I feel very comfortable with bad boys, like, and that's in society, called like, but I feel very safe.
Yeah.
I was feeling very safe. I feeling like myself. I can be me. I can be very mean if I want. I can say what I want because with others, I couldn't be me. It's like they always kind of saying to me that how I get to behave, how I get to say what I get to say, the way I get to say, and I didn't like it. I was like, who are you to tell me how I get to live my life? Who are you? Like, I was like this, very, way more brutal and more harsh than I am right now. But
Yeah.
that time, it was also me, and every time when people ask me, like, how did you become who you are today? Because I'm a badass. I know that I can go and ask the question. It doesn't matter if you're President of America. If I have a question, I go directly. You're the same equal. We're all walking the same walk in this planet Earth. We're all equal. If I have a question, I can go and ask you a question directly, and I have a conversation with you. Have idea? I have a right to go and share with you this idea directly. That's attitude I had all my life, and I still do. And I'm feeling like when I arrived to Norway, it was equality. I can go to Prime Minister, have a appointment with him, have a conversation, lunch or little coffee, and we're sharing my ideas if it matters. I first describe in emails what it matters, why I want to change, why I want to change that. So I have a conversation 1 hour with the Prime Minister. So for me, it was something very beautiful. Like I learned in very early age, it's something very meaningful. And when I was volunteering in Lofoten Islands and serving for the King and Queen of Norway. And I had a directly conversation sitting in the same table with them, having dinner together. I was organizing as volunteer for from the Red Cross. I was like having conversation that I have with you. And like it was no different. And
Yeah.
they were like very curious about me in that moment, asking me some questions, what I'm doing here. And they were like admire my Norwegian language, like my skills. And I've been very, very young, it's like maybe 21, whatever. But like I'm just feeling like everything in life, when you authentic yourself and you really truthfully living your potential, I feel like it's no limits. It's really no limits. And the most beautiful things, having as many dreams as possible, as many goals as possible. Because when I was 16, like 15, when this thing started to happen, and I said to myself, I want to go to all these countries. I want to do this and this and this. I want to, like create all these things, because if I'm not going to do, I don't want to die until I'm 18, like before my 18, because the friends started to die. And I'm like, would I survive until I'm 18? Asking this question myself. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to live longer. So I create this idea of myself until I'm 60. And I said, it's that time of my life. It was like a long life. Now I created already a new idea of myself, 200. Like, I'm just feeling like that time when I was 15, I was feeling like 60 years is a long life. And from 20 to 30, I'm going to travel around the world. From 30 to 40, I'm going to be businesswoman. From 40 to 50, I'm going mentoring. And from 50 to 60, I'm a volunteering for UNESCO and UN. And I'm like, and I'm die in my, in my story.
All right, I'm done. Time to die.
I'd work And like it's just so funny like how my brain was operating that time. And I remember when I was 20, I just turned 20 and I ended up in New York in the Times Square having a Christmas there and after New Year. And I remember I was like staying there in the Times Square, like next to the Times Square in the one of the restaurant on the rooftops. And I'm like, I achieved absolutely everything. I already went to all the cities I want to go. I already lived all the things that I was thinking is going to take me my life to go to all these places around the world. And here I am at 20, staying there and saying I'm a winner of the world, on top of the world, in the Times Square,
Yeah.
counting 59, 58, 57, and I'm just feeling like I'm the winner. I really did. I created in such a short time from 15 until 20 that jump.
Yeah. You know,
And
I think it explains a lot too, because being back then and being so creative and inquisitive, and then to come into your adult age, it explains where the art and the passion comes from. These are characteristics of people that are very creative. They have creative minds, and you being with being in a orphanage at such a young age, you didn't allow anybody to shut that creative side off, all the way down to imagining, your imagination with the other children, trying to get them to be creative. And so I think that's awesome, because it's important to have that characteristic in life. Without it, you don't have any expectations of yourself and you just kind of fade away. And I think that's awesome with what the podcasting world is, and then coming across you. I can only imagine, and I only know you now for 18, 19 minutes, but I can imagine that when your artwork went onto the SpaceX ship and went to outer space, you were probably looking at it saying, well, that's cool, but it'd been better if I was on it with it.
yes, that's correct. That's correct.
I could just imagine you're like, I'm going to have to add more time because now I got to explore outer space.
Exactly. Yes, you got me. Yeah, I'm already applying to a different project. That's right now, like Jeff Bezos also creating this idea for the artist, and like let's see how it goes. And because Jeff Bezos is completely different from Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a little bit busy with politics right now, so he's in a different in a different journey. And in 2020, end of the 2020, I sent my artwork to the offices to Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and to Richard Branson. And I asked Elon Musk to send my art to the space. I asked Jeff Bezos to send me to the space. I was saying, I'm going to promote Amazon or something like that. And I said to Richard Branson, I asked him to paint his rocket, with my art. And I believe it's going to happen. I just believe that it is one day. I don't know when, I don't know how. I just know it is. I'm doing it. I'm creating it.
Yeah.
And every time when my dreams just happening like naturally, I just know that I'm a powerful creator. I can create absolutely anything I want.
Yeah.
And now I'm in a position of my life when I want to create with other people. I really feel like I want to have this dream team in my life who can dream with me, who can do all these amazing things together and
Yeah.
like doing this like amazing spirit all the time. And it's not easy. I know maybe I'm asking a lot. I don't know. But I'm just feeling like I can do that. I get to be that person and that example for my people who can, do it with me. And I just don't have that time to babysit or working on other people's emotions and like or like help me do with this. I know. I'm so tired. I said like, listen, it's better for me. I just go and do my art, like just create more other things, living in my own world alone. If it doesn't happen, if I get to be all my life just alone with nobody will understand me, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Fine. If I'm ahead of my time, I'm fine. The most important for me that I know I'm living my dreams. I know if people don't see me, it's okay. It's up to them. It's their reality, whatever the reality they're living in. It's not my reality.
Right.
My reality is a freedom, it's a liberty, it's like where I can express my truth. It's my reality is not about my bank account. It's not about if I'm living in a palace or I'm living in a tent. It's about what I feel inside of me, what I'm carrying inside of me, how I want to show up for myself first. And that's my kind of priority in this lifetime. If I don't like something, I'm expressing that. I will say it directly to everyone face because I'm like this is me. I'm not going to walk around not being like nice. Like even people said, be more nicer. You will get more like a like a longer whatever. And I said it's better to be the way I am. I will cut more faster all the things that is there, then I will be so nice, and after like people just will be abusing me more and I just don't like it and I will be frustrated more. It's better that I express it right away
Yep.
and it's cut. That's
Yep.
it. I don't have that time. People who will accept me the way I am, that's my people. That if I'm harsh today, I'm expressing directly the way I am. This is who I am. I cannot be nice if I'm not feeling nice. This is what not I'm feeling right now. And people get to give me a hug and say to me, Aisha, everything will be fine. I love you. Thank you for you sharing your in this way today. And that probably you don't feel so good today. What's happening and what's happening inside of you right now? People who are aware of why it's happening, and that's people I want to have. These type of like people I want to have in my life, not people who's scary of me expressing like that
Right.
myself.
You know,
Who's fight or she's this, she's bitch, or she's like so many like what that go the judgment or like so many ideas coming up, so people get scary instead be curious.
I think it can also be jealousy. Sometimes people, they don't want to be honest with themselves and say, I'm not doing that because I chose to stop myself from doing it, versus, saying the stories that they tell themselves, well, she's doing it and she can do it because she's got this friend or whatever. They don't want to give you the credit that you took. It wasn't easy. You didn't just say, I'm going to go do 60 countries and because it only takes an hour. This is a dream and a goal that you work towards. And again, just like I said, I don't know you that long, but I think what you need to do is move the part of working with other people to when you're past 60. That way, you've slowed down and they can catch up, because that's the problem is that they don't have the drive to work your speed.
Actually, Godspeed.
Absolutely. So you just out of the blue said, I'm going to mail my art to Elon and he's going to put it in space. And that's how it came about. Huh? There was like no contest or no entry. You just said, hey,
No, my artwork, I said it myself because with these ideas, like I just share, like ask, I wrote a letter to them,
all right,
and I said, I would like you to send my art to the space. And I asked the same Jeff Bezos, I would like you to send me to the space. I put like little letter where I'm writing to them a story, why and everything. So like little kid, kind of like sending to Santa Claus the message. I would like my dream is like this. No, 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 no. Like a kid do. I don't know. And I'm like, and I send it to the offices. I sent to the SpaceX office and I sent to um Amazon office, the headquarter, the all had headquarters, and they receive it. So Elon Musk probably received my message and received my artwork. And I sent him many actually artworks, and there was different messages, different stories, and anyway. So like I just feel like the most important be creative. Like when I was 8 years old and I want to learn English, and then nobody in my environment was an English teacher. So because I was spending so much time in the library, I found this magazine where one of the school was advertising about the English books, so something like that. We will send you English books and then. So I was write a long letter explaining them why they should send me the books. I don't have money, but I'm very motivated to learn English. So they started to send me books for years. Years I was receiving the books from them, cassettes and everything to learn by myself English.
oh,
That's I feel, somebody who received my letter that time, I say like, oh, this little girl somewhere nowhere. Let's send it this. So for me, it was just like say yes, amazing. They say no, it's good. I tried, and it's many times in my life when I was like applying for to Norway, when I decided to move in Los Angeles and to be an actress. Many of my friends from Norway, they were telling me, Aisha, why you want to go to LA to be an actress? And I said, like, I want to be superstar. If I'm going to be somewhere, it's got to be Hollywood, like And after when I went there, I started to do a lot of background jobs. I became a member of the Los Angeles casting agency and many things. I was just moving around, network. And one day I was sitting in one of the mansions in Hollywood Hills, whatever, and I was like looking around, and I was like, oh my gosh, who I belong to? Which, because I got so tired, I knew that my career is just going up, and I will be, but my English was not so good. That's why I was doing a lot of backgrounds, and I was always doing vocabulary. And I knew that in 3 years from now, I'm going to learn my English. My English would be very good. And what I learned from that time, I said I belong to stoners, and I was just sitting around the fire. I'm a shaman, somehow, and I'm like I just sit around the fire, and I started to talk about philosophy of life with other people there who were sitting around the fire, and we're just passing the joint. I remember, and we'll have conversation about life, and I was just, I don't know, 23, but I was sitting there having this deep conversation about life already.
Yeah,
You see how comedy it is, like it's really like a comedy.
I can relate to it because, us veterans, when I my first time I deployed, I was young. I was probably 23 maybe, and you'd be out on guard duty and we'd be talking about the same thing, philosophy, like we know everything about life, and we're just having these conversations, and then you get older and you think back to it, you're like, yeah, we didn't know anything, but it was a lot of fun, and I think it's those conversations that bring you to where you're supposed to be. I'm a firm believer in energy. If you send out positive energy, you're going to get positive energy back. And if you do nothing and you send nothing and be part of nothing with the energy, well, you don't get nothing back. And that's where these dreams and goals just don't never come to fruition because you didn't put it out there to get it back. And I think that's important. A lot of people don't know, and I know you're a big advocate of the Burning Man, and a lot of people don't even know what that is. Can you explain what is the Burning Man for? What are those events?
Well, for me, the Burning Man, it's kind of like a big gathering of people who there to create and build the city for just 1 week. It's called Black Rock City, where in reality, everyone just coming with a belief that this utopia, or like this city, that everything is just abundance and everyone is just so kind from the heart and so loving and really authentic and really like beautiful inside and outside, really like burners, like they're burning their, when they're entering the space, they're burning their ego, they get to burn everything, like, and just be pure,
Right.
like with pure attention, was pure, like a human, what it is to be pure human. And that's kind of like idea of what it is to be a real burner. Of course, in reality, humans are humans, so it's like a lot of different issues, and every time it's the ego, money now, and it's like I don't, it's everything is changing because the idea of a founder of the Burning Man was pure. The things what they were developing, what they were doing, when founder is not there anymore, an idea is still there, so the people just started to play with that idea in a little bit different way, the way they want. So it's like based on other people way of thinking. So like I just understood one thing, and when the founder passed, the things has changed. And that it gave me like a question, because when I went to the Burning Man, and for me Burning Man was something like this incredible place where everything is abundance, you just paying for the tickets and the rest is just, you just take a spoon, the bottle of the water and the plate, and it doesn't matter how where you wander, how far you wander, you always have a food, you have a water, people are very like, like kind of giving you from the heart. You will not die of being thirsty or being hungry or something like that. So for me it was like a level of abundance, how many gifts you were getting, how much love you will get. In the beginning it was like that, and it's after 2020 it's changed a lot. It's a little bit different right now. So the idea changed. I don't know what's, right, like so much the vision, it's getting so blurry. It's not anymore that clear vision that it was before. That's what also give me some questions about, as a founder, when you're creating the vision. For example, I was admire Charlie Chaplin and Walt Disney and their lifetime. they've been a great visionaries, Salvador Dali, and I'm just feeling like these creatives. When Charlie Chaplin moved from France to Hollywood, he was doing these little reels that we call them right now, like a little like videos with that equipment that he had, and he was making the deals with this warehouses, whatever that time, and he was making money. He's inviting people, whatever people come. He was sharing in the beginning 50-50, where they were just looking at him having fun. He's driving elephant. He's doing this. He's doing that. Kind of like it was funny, but he was just making this funny expression with no sound that time. And he was the one who started to use the sound with the music, the sounds and stuff. And I'm just feeling like they were so creative.
Yeah.
He was living in the street for like a while, in
Yeah.
somewhere Norway, in whatever. But I'm just feeling like he had a vision. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And Walt Disney, I mean, he's so lucky who has a brother. That's what I said. Like Walt Disney was super lucky that he had a vision and he has an amazing brother who actually helped him with a vision. The same as Elon Musk. If you look, his brother, is amazing, like supporter, the support system for him.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just feeling like when you started to go deeper and understand some things about the visionaries and about the way they operate, because somebody get to be there for them, love them more than they love themselves many times. And Elon Musk is very lucky having his brother. Walt Disney lucky by having his brother. And I'm just feeling like I got to be lucky too. I get to have my brother too. I get to create that brother. And I'm just feeling like everyone who had something in like a support that they can count on in that moment of their life. That's why they can keep their vision going, their momentum going. Look at what Walt Disney created, what Charlie Chaplin created, and I'm just feeling like they being amazing human beings because they had a big vision. And they didn't care if they're sleeping in a sofa or like in some shitty place. They didn't care about that. If they're sleeping in a good like a mattress, or the pillows it doesn't have cockroaches or whatever. They had a vision
Yeah.
and mission.
Yep, they were working on something that was bigger than them. And to worry about their surroundings or their current situation was not even something to focus on. They're worried about what I'm building, what's coming. That Elon is light years away from, he's working on things that we'll never see in our lifetime. I don't even know how the man does it. He's got to be a robot because he can't sleep. There's no way he sleeps. But but it is that it's that kind of energy that makes things happen. And I've talked to several people that attended the events, and a lot of people tell me it's a great place to go to learn more about yourself. Not so much to go there and learn about others, but to leave your baggage and spend time learning about you. And I think that's a great opportunity, especially for I'm very big in the veteran community, and I think that would be a great place for veterans to go and take the time away to leave their baggage alone and go and do something that's bigger than them. And I think that's exactly what that event is. And the creators of it were just like everybody else. They were creating something that they needed maybe, but it was going to be way bigger than them. It was big enough that it was going to help others. I think that when I seen that in your bio, I was like, oh yeah, we got to talk, because one day I'd like to attend. I've never been, and I think I just hear great things about it. So it's one of those things I'd like to go see myself. Take me and my dog and
Well, I have a camp. You're always welcome. I can get the tickets. Just let me know.
Okay.
When you're ready for the experience.
Absolutely. I'm, and I agree with you. Right now I'm working on a nonprofit that I started, and, before I die, I want to see it be successful and grow into something that somebody past me takes it on and makes it even bigger. And I love being creative. I love, this podcast was created just out of therapy for myself, and I think the gods that I found it and got to do it because it has helped me in so much. And I've learned so much about so many people that it helps eliminate some of that baggage, And I think it's important that people learn to be creative on their side, because it allows you to be somebody that you want to be, not necessarily
the person you are today. It gives you that goal to be that person in the future. And I think it's a big deal. So, we talked about the traveling, we've talked about you and the Burning Man, and we already know you're running miles faster than everybody else in accomplishing goals. Let's keep it going with your entrepreneurship. How did you decide, okay, now in my life, now it is time to become a business owner? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I've been an engineer. I was working as an engineer in Norway, and it was also very creative. I was started to study in Russia, and after like when I moved to Norway, year after Norway, I got a boyfriend, and I was like, I get to work because I've been very entrepreneurial, very like all my life. When I was in Russia, I was like running, already did like a property management, and I was doing like renting and like I find apartments as renting apartments. I found this and like I bought my house when I was 17, and I'm like, everyone's like, oh, you had to pay mortgage, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I'm like, one day I was with my friend somewhere outside the little city that I was living that time. And I was studying that time. And I was like, this house is it's just 30 minutes away from the city. And I already started to like learn how to drive and and I was like, I would drive 30 minutes. It's like a big house. It's like 3 floors. And I'm like, I would like to have a big house with a garden. It was like a nice garden with apple trees, with strawberries, with other like a different, berries and stuff. And I'm just feeling like that's what I want. Every summer, I just want to work a little bit in the garden and do my things. It's a river nearby. Everything's like that time of my life, and I'm just like, even I'm going to travel, it's good to have a base. It's nice. So I bought that house, but the house was like not like in well conditions. One floor was good, and the third floor was like the roof was like leaking, and the first floor was because it was like a river sometimes coming too much, so it's like floating, and it's we have this big legs. And I was like, it's not a big deal. I will fix it. I'm 17. It's like I'm going to live until I'm 60. So for sure, I'm going to figuring out, that my thoughtful process that time. Um, so I was doing a lot of things, a lot, because it's like, it doesn't matter if you don't do anything and you do all the time something, you always creating. It's like the same 24 hours, but you consistently doing it because I didn't do any drugs. I didn't drink, I didn't party. And I was just like all the time, just networking, doing money all the time because I wanna travel, and I was traveling that time, hitchhiking, and I need to know I get to make so much money to travel just in case if something happened, emergency. So I get to have this extra money in my pocket to go back home on the flight or like on the train. It depends of like how sick I'm going to be because you never know. So like for me, I always have this money or extra money to put it on the side and extra money to just have it in my bank account just in case when I come back home. So I knew that I need to recover at least like 2 months until I'm getting to the new job because I get to have extra months to relax a little bit after the journey. Like when you hitchhiking, backpacking, it's actually very, it's a lot of intense. It's intense traveling. And for me, I love it. I was in a hitchhiking club. I was so curious, asked questions. I got friends. We started to travel like first like a small trips, like a weekend, a 1 week, and after I started to extend it more and more. So for me, it was like every time there's a growth process. And one day I said, like, why not to move to Moscow? Moscow give me more opportunities. And I was very scary of the big cities. I was like, oh my gosh, Moscow had like 10 millions or 50 millions. I don't know, like so many. In my city, we had like a 500,000 or 700,000 where I moved, that time. And I'm just feeling like from the village or from little town of 1,000 people, I get to move to like 500,000, and for me, it was in the beginning overwhelming. And but I managed, I was get to live with other students. I was sharing with 3 other girls. We had 4 girls in a little room, and I that's what I learned. One things in Russia, I never had my place, my things. I always was sharing my clothes, my like everything, food, place. And so when I moved to Norway, was completely different environment. I got the opportunity to live by myself. Had my even as a student, you have your own room just for yourself. You're sharing the kitchen, and at the same time you're sharing the living room. You have your own space with your own stuff and all your own.
Yep.
And for me, it was new. I was like, wow, I'm learning. It's like so rich. I'm feeling myself like, I'm
Yeah.
so rich. I'm like this next level of richness. So I started to I was delivering the pizza. And I started to deliver the pizzas to the students
Yeah.
after 6 p.m. because in Norway everything is closed very early. And I was buying a lot of beers. I was selling beers. I was selling like people calling me, and I'm like, okay, I will come in 20 minutes. So I was delivering. And after I started to do sushi, so I get to all the time do something, like it's like was important for me. And people said to me, Aisha, why are you not drinking? Why? And I'm like, I don't like it. I don't, I just don't like.
Yeah.
And many guys was have a crush on me on the university. And I'm like, I never reacted to that. I was like, I have my boyfriend that time, he spent 4 months to tell me that he likes me, and I said, oh, why you didn't tell me in the beginning that you like me? Anyway, so it was like a whole things that I'm living in my own world, doing my own things. And every time it's like, if the guy liked me, I even don't pay attention to that. And my friends get to say to me, oh, this guy liked you. Do you like? I said like, oh no, I don't like him. And I'm like I prefer to be friends or something like that. So for me, by living in my world, taking care of myself every time, like being more like kind of in control in my own way, it's like you don't living too much with others because you're always kind of in your own way of making your goals and dreams. And I want to travel around Europe. That time I was like, now I'm in Europe. I want to travel. I want to do this. I want to do that. So I was always kind of on this go, 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 go. And when I came to America, and I applied for visa right away when I arrived to Norway. I fly next month to visa to America because I want to go for the New Year's to America. And I said like, okay, I get to work extra to to make that happen. And I make everything happen for myself. I'm just feeling like everything in life when you just get to know when to work hard and when to play hard, like have fun. I call it like this, and having fun. Because in reality, in like my experience, it's not about money. Money coming and go, and the what you want to do with the money, what you want to create with that,
Yeah.
and that's for me like kind of important. And in Norway, in Portugal, we have a free healthy like care. You don't need to have like it's a good enough. It's free.
Yeah.
And so you don't care about so much about that side of reality because I'm already millionaire, inside of me. I don't need to prove anyone that I'm millionaire. I'm already have a rich life, and I'm like living so much in my life, I'm still very young, I still can live so much more. And I'm just feeling like many people haven't achieved like so much in their life. And I used to say, I already done so much, and I have for sure extra 50 years, 60 years to live. And I'm like, I'm healthy, I'm take care of myself. Like I'm very happy, and I'm like doing the things I love. And I'm like all the time I'm doing what I love. And when I moved from Norway to Portugal, first of course I went to America, want to be an actress, and after I come back, went to Camino de Santiago to discover like where I want to actually live. Discover Portugal. I fell in love, and I said, I'm in real estate. I'm going to do luxury real estate here. That was my idea when I arrived here. So I started to work in real estate. I got my license. I started to study. I got everything, and I'm like, okay. And I said to everyone right away, I'm doing luxury real estate. And everyone said to me, oh, start to sell small. And I said like, it doesn't matter. I'm selling small, I'm selling big. It's all the same. In my head, it was all the same. And the funny thing is, after like a few months, people just started to give me the keys. Said to me, Aisha, this is my house. Take the keys, do whatever you want. And I said, what about I started to do property management, started to rent it to the tourists. I started to discover that Portugal started to receive more tourists. So I started to tell them, oh, what about we do like Airbnb? What about we started to do working in a booking? And people just very easily give the keys, do whatever. And I was like, people ask me, how does it work? I said, maybe because I'm trustworthy and truthful, because what I say, I do. I'm really figuring out, I'm finding solutions. I'm working on, if I don't find solutions, I'm communicating that. I'm having brainstorming. I said like, you know what? I don't know. Like, let's figuring out together, And I'm just feeling like I'm always so alive. I'm so like in the moment. And at the same time, I'm like figuring out, I don't like fights. I don't like people getting angry for no reason. frustrated because they didn't get what they wanted or like had these expectations. I don't feel the same things. I'm like, okay, let's figuring out. We're here to figuring out why you have these ideas in the first place, why you listen to this bullshit in the first place.
Yep.
Many times I don't listen to the gossips. I don't listen to the people experiences. I used to say, you have your experience. I will have my experience. So let me to experience my experience. I don't want to listen to your experience. It's kind of negative. So don't please share with me. I live like this all the time. You know,
Yeah.
I've been kind of in my own, people said, you're living in your own world. I believe like because when my mother abandoned me, I just created, when I started to read books, I created my own world because the world that was real there, it was so brutal and so like not nice to me because I was feeling every time scary and scary to like my body was every time like very, I couldn't speak, you know, for like a while. I was like, couldn't express my voice. I
Yeah.
started more and more truthfully when I moved to Portugal because I was a good girl. Everyone wants me to be just a good. This is how the good it got to be. So I was listening everything what people were telling me outside and I was just doing what they're telling me to do. And it was successful. Of course, I also have my own ideas when I was knocking in the door asking to be engineer and eventually I got a job. And so it's also like I was my own ideas because when all the women who were from Russia, from Ukraine was working in a fishing factory and I was like, probably I will also go to work in a fishing factory because, you know, like nobody wants to like hire you or something like that. And after my boyfriend that time, he said to me, no, my girlfriend will not work in the fishing. You get to, it's better to you stay home. And I'm like, I don't want to stay home. Like, I'm not that person. So I went and I started knocking the door and just for fun asking for a job. And I got a job. And I'm just feeling like, for me, it's about never give up.
Yeah.
And it's about being me, you know, telling me, this is who I am, this is what I've done, this is what I'm doing, this is what I want to do. If you're with me, awesome. If not, it's fine. I can find someone who wants to be with me. That's it. And it's like very simple. You know, I don't have attachment to yes or no. I'm like, okay, next, you know, like I'm going to the next. It's kind of like I've been like this for like all my life, you know, since I'm a child. I'm not getting so attached to like no, so getting so disappointed. Probably I've been so entrepreneurial since I'm a baby, you know, because like I remembering when I've been in Soviet Union and we were getting these bubble gums, like a special bubble gums. I don't remember, but like, and I have this idea of selling them. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to sell at school or exchange them for something that I like. And I just went with this lot of bubble gums and I was like, do you want a bubble gum? 100 rubles in that time. You know, kids was buying
Yeah.
every time. And I had so much money, I even didn't know what to do with that money. I was like, I have this money, I didn't know what to do. And I know why I need this money. I couldn't even understand either. Like, it was so, every time it was just so easy. And people said like, oh yes, of course, it's so easy for you. Well, because I'm very creative. I don't, you know, get attached to the things. I don't get like too, how say, upset about things or disappointed, or I don't hold too much, too long to the things. Of course I get upset. Like, of course I get attached sometimes, but like I'm getting over it so fast.
Yeah.
Then people, that's my observation. I was like, oh my gosh, people spending so much time. They had a fight, even with my friends many times. I disagree with them. And this, I used to say to them, we just disagree about this topic, but we agree about so many other topics. Why you decided to like, don't talk to me for so long just because of this stupid like thing that we just disagree? It's okay to be disagree, just move on. And this is what I'm saying, please forgive me, I want to give you a hug, I love you. And they will still be mad at me. And I'm like, so many things we agree, and like here we are in this situation and you like spending some months don't talk to me just because of that.
Yeah, you know, I don't know where that came from. That seems to be like the last 7-8 years, society has became like that. You know, we
You're
used,
offended. You're like, I don't know.
used to be able to agree to disagree and just move on. You know, and now that has slowly gone away, and it's sad because it causes you to miss out on so many other things. You know,
I used to say to the couple sometimes, I used to say to them, listen, like you spend like 15 years together, 20 years together, and here you are, disagree about something. You say like, oh, we just grew apart. But you been like, started to kind of like restarted the sweet shit, you know? Because like, again, many women, like my friend, who's there right now in the late 50s, women who decided to divorce their husbands, and they were telling me, yeah, my husband was telling me that he's happy in a family, and the next girl that's coming into his life, he's going to marry her and will have more kids. And their husband in their 60s, and they have more kids, with a younger woman, because they're successful. They're successful women. But the thing is like, they're not getting married because they're older. And for women, it's different. And now 6 years, whatever, 9 years passed, and the husbands already have 2 or 3 other kids with other ladies, and like super happy. And I said, your husband communicated it directly with you when you decided to do what you decided to do, that he's happy to be a family guy. He wants to find solution. He give you like a time to think through 3 months, 6 months, whatever. He didn't want to divorce. He wanted to be in the family. He wanted to be with you. And you decided it was your decision. And now you're bitter. You don't like young women. You think all the young women is just this and this and this. You have different ideas. And I said, look, you made that decision in your 50s. Why? Why did you decide it? Because, we just grew apart. Okay, you grew apart, but you still can communicate and work through this together as a team. You've been team.
Yeah.
And play team. Be team, continue. Yes, maybe you will have extra lovers. I don't know, whatever. Decided to like try something different and new, spice up your relationship. But don't divorce. Why? You've been together for 20 something years. Why? Because he was not good father. Because he didn't do. It's every summit something. But why are you focusing on negative? Why are you not focusing on that positive days that been there? And and I used to say, look at all this bright side of the rainbow. It was thousands of days that was so beautiful and so magical and so great. And you still choose to focus on these dark days that was not good. And I said, if you're counting of all your marriage, how many days was beautiful and magical, was more days beautiful and magical than these dark days. And you're still focusing on that side. Why? And they don't have an answer. They don't have an answer. That's what scares.
Yeah, it is, and it goes back to what we talked about at the beginning, focusing on the negative and not realizing that the negative is probably 5% of the other 95%, and if you want to make that the big deal, then that becomes your problem, not everybody else's problem. And,
exactly.
It's hard to get people to realize that sometimes. So let me ask you, with all that you have seen and all that you have created, what's your personal definition of freedom today?
For me, the freedom is always living my I call it like my ideas and the way I'm creating them, and trusting to the process, and not define myself that today I'm living in a room with 10 other people and tomorrow maybe I'm going to live in a castle. I'm still free because I'm feeling this freedom within me. And for me, it's changing, but the core is still there. I'm not attached to anything. I'm not like have expectations. I'm really like free, and I don't have any kind of like judgmental things about others or about myself. I'm doing my best to love myself more and more, and don't have this I would say this talks inside of me like, oh, you say something, and doing my best to be a better human being of my own idea of what it is to be a better human being, because I believe we're living in our own path. And when we stop to compare ourselves from others and stop to expect or create these expectations, or like when people see you and they say, oh, she's this and this and this, don't get attached to their opinions, and don't listen to their opinions. Ask yourself, how long I know this person? Why this person already putting me in this box or that box? So kind of be free from this, so I'm learning more and more to be free from other people's opinions. And it's not easy for me because I'm a people pleaser, and I'm working on that a lot to please me. And it's not easy because when I forget about other people and I'm focusing what I want to create, the way my freedom works, and the way I want to be free from all these self-limited beliefs, I understand everything is a programs. Absolutely everything that created in the matrix, and even now more and more, is just making us so dependent on this and that, what it is to be healthy, what it is to be happy, what it is to be this, like so many definition of so many things. Or you have a borderline, you're psycho, you're this, and like so many like description of your behavior
Yeah.
of like, instead to just say like, we are humans, we're all different, we have a different path, we have different magic powers, I call them, and we have different ways to express ourselves and our truth, and we have different ideas the way we want to live this 24 hours a day that we have. Some of us needs more sleep, some of us needs less sleep, so we're all different. And we're trying every time, and it's my observation, every time humans trying to put each other in the boxes and define that box, and they say, oh, you have a borderline, oh, you have like this disorder, oh, you have this disorder. Like every time everyone has a disorders, some of them has like more like that's towards this direction, that direction, because we're trying every time to put each other in the boxes.
Yeah.
And other people trying to fit that boxes. And I feel like that's the kind of like, I don't know, but for me, I don't want to do that. I don't want to put people in the box. I want the people be free. And that's for me, like the freedom for me, it's an energy. It's like more I'm connecting with the freedom within me. I think like it's more connected with the energy, more I'm expressive, my voice, my vibration of the voice. I feel so free and so calm and peaceful. And I used to say yesterday to my friend that, you know what, I have just €5 in my account, but it doesn't define me what I feel. Today I bought a book for €30 because I got some extra money in my account and I have like a little bit, €50, whatever. But like it doesn't define me. If I feel like to buy something that I feel a value, that I will read and I will enjoy and I will feel pleasure out of that, that's what I am. I'm not thinking about, oh my gosh, how I'm going to survive tomorrow. Tomorrow, it's tomorrow, you know? So
Yeah.
today, and people getting too much in their heads, thinking about how I'm going to eat, how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do that. Universe, God is always providing, and you get to continue to enjoy and feel what you want to do today. Feel and don't, I feel like don't put yourself in this position of limiting yourself. Be limitless. Feel rich. This is what you want to do. This is what you want to buy. Do it. Yes, maybe it's the last €100, $100, whatever. Tomorrow, the God will give you extra gift for something else. You never know.
Yeah.
So far as you're alive, that's what matters. When I was living in America, I had like first time in my life, I had a minus 200 in my account when I just moved to Miami. And I just got like my own place, my own studio. I got like a job and everything. COVID hit. And I was so scared. I was like minus 200 my account. I couldn't transfer money from Europe. It was a whole mess. I was so stressed.
Yeah.
So I got like not right decisions. It was completely mess and everything. But what I learned from that experience, when next time I had like minus, I was like, I didn't care. When my van was broken in, when my apartment was broken in, and everything was stolen, and next year my van was broken in, all my money, all my cards, all my documents, all my passports. That year, my intention was a peace. And I'm like, okay, at least I'm still alive. Yes, I was completely surprised. I was so like, I couldn't expect that's my identity being stolen. That everything that I work for was stolen in one day. And I couldn't show up for myself because I had the next day to be in a stage with hundreds of people. I couldn't show up, and I should, be vulnerable that moment, express myself, what happened, and so on and so on. And I couldn't. And now I said to myself, it's anything will happen in my life, whatever it's going to happen, I will show up for myself. You know what I learned from that experience? Yes, the situation happened, but when you have next day, you have event or like a ceremony or whatever, that where you get to be there in the center of attention, in the main stage, it doesn't matter what happened the day before. You get to show up with a smile, with a gratitude that you're still alive. And after you share the story, what happened yesterday, if you want to. And in that moment of my life, I couldn't. I was so broken inside and outside. I was so like down, and so miserable, and so like feeling so much pain. My heart was broken in pieces. My body was completely destroyed. I feeling like, wow, how people can do that to the single woman. I was like, wow, that's like, it's completely like, I couldn't believe in that that can happen. I also understood now I'm completely in the God hands.
Yeah.
And I just give up. I've give up. I become vulnerable, more like going with the flow because I was in the control all the time. I was in my own bubble all the time. And here I am. God wants me to be going with the flow. I was living in the communities, helping out, being more in, I would say more like a vulnerable, more like kind of weak, accepting my weaknesses, accepting the, being in that position. It was not easy at all. Me, who's always in the control, always disempowered, all this, I get to be in peace with that and learn from that. That
Yeah.
when you don't have anything and still alive, still in being there and still living your dream, and when the opportunity to send my art to the space months later arrived, I catch it. I was like, this is my dream. I get to do that. It's not about the money. It's not about I'm going to express it. I'm going to do that. And I did. And the point is like, you don't need to give up on your dreams. You get to continue to live them, continue to be them. And that's what I said to myself. I cannot be with, in that moment of my life, I've been with a person who dragged me down to the ground, and I went with that person down because I allowed it. I'm responsible for that.
Yep.
And I said to myself, I'm not allowed that again. When I see if I'm with someone in a relationship and that person dragging me down, I'm cutting it right away. I said, like, you know what? I'm not going down. I'm going up. That's what I do.
Yep.
I cannot do that anymore to myself. You go down, go down. It's your choice. I don't do that. I'm
Yep.
going up. And it's better for me to be by myself and just going up than to be in a relationship with you who's dragging me down every time. I don't want to do that anymore to myself. And
Yeah.
I get to understand that the funny things about life, because you're so desperate sometimes, like as a woman special, and you like have all these self-limited beliefs about age, about being mother, have a families, and after you choosing someone that you feel with your heart, that's the right person for you because you're living with your heart. And for the society, for all the things, it's not a good person, and for your heart, it's, you don't care.
Yeah.
And I choose to live with the heart. And the point is like, because of the expectations, because of the idea that you want to live and the idea of freedom that you have with that person, and that person doesn't see what you see, you cannot help. They will continue to drag you down.
Yep.
And you continue to show them the freedom, continue to show the beauty of life, continue to show everything, and they don't see it.
Yeah.
They're sad and depressed and miserable. So you cannot help them. And that's what I learned. I'm like, I cannot do that anymore to myself. Even so, I can be like this too. But the thing is like, I choose not to. Yes, I can be sad as anyone else. And I'm just getting myself out of that. I said to myself, okay, Aisha, how long you want to be sad? It's up to you to decide how deep you want to go in the rabbit hole. And I'm stopping myself. I can do that. I'm empowered to say it's enough. Now it's time to go back up. Because, so above, so below. It's like a tree. You get to go down to root yourself.
Yeah.
Each experience, especially the painful, the most painful, it's grow you so much. You don't even imagine how much you can grow from that experience. I said to myself, I never feel so miserable, even when I was living in Russia, when I was living in Florida. And I'm like, why I'm feeling so miserable right now? By being in this amazing heaven with so many amazing fruit trees around me and, having so much beauty around me. And here I'm feeling so miserable. This person next to me feeling that miserable. When I started to go inside, I said, no, I'm not miserable. I'm grateful. I'm happy. I'm joyful. And it took me cut that person off from my life because he will continue to drag me down to say like my life is not happy. My life is not joyful. My life is not, it's actually nothing to be grateful for. And so like, I don't need in my life. So I cut it because it was very, very painful. Even so, I love that person. At the same time, you know how much they drag you down with their negativity, with that level of negativity that they living, that reality that they live in, how much negativity they're experiencing in their life every single day. So I just cannot. And I said to myself, I'm such a happy, joyful, loving, powerful woman. I cannot do that to myself anymore. And it took me a while, it took me like extra, I think 6 or 9 months, or maybe a year to kind of like go slowly started to go back and back and back. But the thing is like I'm still getting back to my powers. And it's like such a amazing journey when you're growing from that. You're growing way more powerful, way more joyful, way more loving, because you're feeling so much gratitude for absolutely all experiences of life. You started to learn that it's not good and not good. It's all about life. It's all about experiences and gratitude that I'm still here. I'm still breathing.
Yeah.
I'm still smiling. I'm still loving. No matter what, how painful it is, I still choose to love. I still choose love and freedom and joy and abundance. Even I have my last 10 euro and I feeling like I want to give it to someone or I feel to buy something. This is what I do. Like I feel abundance. And it's not about like what if, and it's like this is what I used to say to people, tomorrow it's a new day. I'm free. I don't have any attachment towards this biggest matrix attachment money, and I never had it. This is what I explained. As a kid, I even didn't know what to do with that. And only on travels I'm spending.
I mean,
But
you
like right now so many opportunities with like being blogger and being travel blogger or something like that, and you get free stay and this.
Yeah. You have definitely bought experience, and that is way more valuable than money will ever be. And I think that is amazing. We're reaching up here to the top of the hour. I know I've had your website running down across the bottom. Is there any place else like for your books that you would like people to go to or to see, or can they get all that from your website?
Yeah, they can also go to Google and just like do Joyful Living Guidebook by Aisha Makara, and they find it on Amazon and any platforms. It's in the different platforms around the United States. And I also want to promote my mentorship program, Joyful Living program, that I have program. It's about body, spirit, and soul. That our body connected to our spirit and connected to our soul. So everything is in our body. So when we like connecting all these pieces together and working through them, we are more centered, more happy, more joyful, and we're staying in that center because we choose joy. And that's my program. It's 3 months program, 6 months program, and 12 months program. So it's touched different topics and different kind of ways. And in all these programs, people who decided to do the program are giving a ticket to Burning Man.
It's worth.
It's a part of the program.
Yep. That's awesome. Aisha,
Life experience.
Yeah, and it's important. That is one thing I don't regret from the military is the experiences that I did get. I went to Korea, I went to Germany, Bosnia. I seen third world countries and I've seen rich world countries. I think I do agree with you that the traveling puts experiences on you, and the miles are worth the work. So I appreciate you coming on, and I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to look at things a little bit different. And we'll make sure that I get all your links in there and your book and everything, because I think a lot of people will enjoy it.
For sure. I believe so too, actually.
All right. Well,
Thank you very much.
No problem. No problem. I'm going to throw the exit video on real quick. And then if you don't mind hanging on, we'll talk afterwards.